Look, there's a big movement happening in this country at the moment that's giving older Australians a significant voice. And you've heard the commercials for it and you've heard a few interviews for it. 50 Up Club we're talking about. And if you listen to 2GB often, you'd know what it's all about. But the club has gone gangbusters. Their membership base is huge. It's close enough to 125,000 people signed up. Now, it's one thing to have a process in a club that allows you to get better prices on life insurance, better prices on electricity, etc., which is great. And we will continue to tell you about that facility, and they will continue to be an advertiser on the program. But it's a little bit more than that. This has become quite a powerful lobby group representing older Australians. And I don't know how many times I hear from callers saying, what about, greying Australia and grey Australia forming, and whether that be over 50s or over 40s, to form a political force? How about something like that? We need our voice heard. Well, maybe, just maybe, these are the first signs of such a thing. But a very powerful lobby group, when you've got 125,000 people over 50 together in one club, and it's about time, because quite often that age group gets overlooked, gets ignored, and the louder voices from those in their 20s tend to be heard a little bit more. But given the fact that there's that many people, it's worth keeping our eye on what that club has to say. And I can tell you right now, Christopher Zinn from the 50 Up Club has been conducting a survey of these members, a survey based on their reaction to the budget. And I must admit, some of the findings that have come from this survey are quite different to what we've had in polls released, which of course cater for all demographics. But seeing that this is a 50 up demographic, it tends to have a very different finding. So before I go into the details of that, Christopher Zinn's on the line right now. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chris.
So you sent a number of questions to your club members, and just in overall terms, just in general terms, how did people aged 50 up respond to this year's budget?
I think they thought it was pretty fair. I'd say there was generally a positive approach to it. And remember, this was meant to be the big budget about retirement income, so they definitely had an interest. But at the same time, they didn't feel that it would actually address all of the long-term problems, and it wasn't unlikely to change their voting behaviour. So, look, I think that, generally it would bring a smile to the Treasurer's face in terms of that older demographic who, as we know, are predominantly coalition, but not exclusively coalition voters.
How many people think they were negatively impacted?
Basically, well, there was only a third thought it was unfair, but 41%, and that's if you include those who think that it's a severe or a slight negative impact, was about 41%, and then there was about 33% who were neither negative or positive. So definitely there were more people who felt negatively impacted, but as I said, they did feel, more of them felt it was fair. So they were prepared to accept that they have to cop some of the pain for some of the corrections that have to go with the budget.
A very different finding, this, to what you may have gleaned from members after the last budget, right?
Exactly, because that was very much when the pension indexation was top of mind, and certainly there was a lot of pain, and it's about 70% of the group, which are about 120,000 strong, who are pensioners or part pensioners. I might say they are very canny and savvy about entitlements and thresholds and the rest of it. And if anything changes, they work out very quick smart which side of the line they're on.
Well, see, that's interesting what you have to say, and that's why that sometimes the findings for an age group 50 up are a little bit different to general polls that cover all demographics, because as we find here on the open line with callers coming in all the time, and sometimes older, mature callers, gee, they know their stuff, mate.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's the comments which are as interesting as the aggregate figures and percentages. The detailed feedback people give about politicians and policies and the way it all works out, that's actually been a real eye-opener for me to see the kind of engagement there is from older people. And it's not just in terms of their own self-interest. They're very interested in the country, next generations, their children and grandchildren, what's fair for them, buying houses. I think, if there is a wisdom of crowds, this is a crowd well worth tapping into.
Yeah, the wisdom of crowds, that's a good description. Mate, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Bye.
Okay, Christopher Zinn from 50upclub.com. And I'll try and do that as much as I can, especially when they do have surveys of this ilk, because they're always just a little bit different to what we glean from polls because of the age group involved. They've got skin in not only the game now, but skin in the future. And skin in the future of their children as well. And it's very representative, I might add, of the people that listen to this radio station. It's 1:15.